The Raiders head coach Antonio Pierce said he doesn't want a Band-Aid at the quarterback position.
I would hope whoever we draft, that's the route we go, if that's who the starter becomes. You don't want to put a Band-Aid at that position. That's old, man. That's old.
But after refusing to pursue Russell Wilson for $1 million, not trading for Justin Fields for a 6th-round pick, and being unwilling or unable to select a quarterback in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Raiders are now left with the most hilarious-looking quarterback room in the NFL. Favre versus Uncle Rico, aka Aidan O'Connell, versus Gardner Minshew. The Raiders head coach Antonio Pierce is in his first year after being interim head coach. Is it fair to not give this guy a franchise quarterback in his first year? Will this hurt his job security? Is he being set up for failure? But after all, I am a delusional Raiders fan, so let's break down who these two quarterbacks are and if they could possibly shock the entire NFL world. Like and subscribe for more content from me, Wi-Fi Willie, and let's get it. And I promise you, I will not mention Derek Carr. Whoops, I just did. Let's start with Gardner Minshew, the quarterback who has started the most games on the Raiders roster. He was a rookie 6th-round pick in 2019 for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Minshew Mania was a complete sensation despite the fact that they had a 6-10 record. He was putting on straight numbers. If you look at Minshew's stats compared to the rookie #1 overall pick Kyler Murray that year, Minshew had 1 more passing touchdown than Mr. Murray and threw 6 less picks.
Gardner, does it mean something? You put up better numbers or similar numbers to guys like Kyler Murray and Daniel Jones, top 10 guys?
Better.
But of course, Kyler Murray, the #1 overall pick, won the NFL Rookie of the Year award. After 2019, Minshew Mania was short-lived. The rookie sensation in his second year was benched after the Jags went 1-6. They did trade a lot of stars while Minshew was quarterback, got rid of Jalen Ramsey, sent him to the Rams, got rid of players like Yannick Ngakoue and Leonard Fournette. Rumors swirled heading into the 2020 season, are the Jags tanking for Trevor Lawrence? Minshew was even asked about this.
It's kind of renewed this whole national talk about, is this team tanking? Do you guys is that disrespectful?
I think people see it from afar and see, oh, they're losing their biggest names, but that's not how we feel.
After Minshew was benched, he still begged to play for the Jags in 2020, pleading to the head coach to just give him an opportunity and not play Mr. Glennon instead, the longest neck in the NFL.
Glennon, love you, man. Needed a quarterback on the team who had a lot of neck. We got a good guy for that, man.
So the Jags had their worst record in franchise history and of course drafted Trevor Lawrence with the #1 overall pick. They also fired the head coach and hired Urban Meyer, the head coach who in the middle of the season ditched the team's flight to hang out at a bar and cheat on his wife and bump and grind. So perhaps Minshew never had a shot. Were the Jags planning on tanking the whole time? Either way, he would be traded to the Philadelphia Eagles to back up a young Jalen Hurts. This was 2021, Jalen Hurts' first time as a full-time starter, so as soon as Minshew subbed in for an injured Jalen Hurts in Week 13, the bro tried to take his job. Reports emerged that he hit up head coach Nick Sirianni and asked about taking over for Jalen Hurts. Obviously, Sirianni passed on that, and Minshew would remain the backup quarterback for the Eagles, watching Jalen Hurts compete against Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. So in 2023, Gardner Minshew would sign a 1-year contract with the Indianapolis Colts. He would be a backup quarterback to #4 overall pick Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson, whose 13-year-old brother has the deepest voice in the world.
What do you think of this? This is pretty special.
This is very special to me. I mean, especially because I look up to him as much, and I've always wanted to be like him.
Maybe that 13-year-old kid should be the 3rd-string quarterback. Anthony Richardson would go down with an injury early in the season, and Gardner Minshew would get an opportunity to start for the entire 2023 season. The key thing is he was linking up with Shane Steichen. This guy was getting his first head coaching opportunity after serving as an offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles while Gardner Minshew was backing up Jalen Hurts. This season perfectly summarized Minshew's career. He would have not overly impressive quarterback play, but consistent quarterback play, and with good playmakers like Michael Pittman Jr. and a strong run game behind Jonathan Taylor, Minshew's play was impressive enough to to almost lead them to a playoff appearance, but at the very least allowed him to reach the Pro Bowl for the first time in his NFL career. However, nobody envisioned him being a replacement for Anthony Richardson, the number 4 overall pick. The same issues throughout Minshew's career would reappear in 2023. He would have inconsistent games where he would commit multiple turnovers. And in the biggest game of the year at the very end against the Houston Texans, he was only able to muster 141 yards. The biggest issue for Gardner Minshew ever since he appeared on scene in 2019 has been the lack of a deep ball. He has always been criticized as being unable to air it out, but Minshew's primarily clean play throughout the 2023 season would help land him a contract with the Las Vegas Raiders. Now we turn to Aidan O'Connell, the second-year quarterback originally drafted in 2023 by former Raiders head coach genius Josh McDaniels. Because Jimmy Garoppolo basically had a broken foot throughout most of the offseason, there was some hype around Aidan O'Connell, and it started in the preseason. The guy did look spectacular.
And I was very, very impressed. This kid's going to be a starter in the National Football League. I keep this clip of this tape because when he starts, I'm going to say, I told you so.
However, he was going up against third string and practice squad players. In the regular season, obviously, Jimmy Garoppolo would go down with an injury, and early on, Aidan O'Connell had a chance to start against the LA Chargers. It seemed like fan pressure led to Aidan O'Connell starting because Josh McDaniels looked like he could not stand the kid the entire time. He was constantly ripping into him in that LA Chargers game. It got so bad that when Jimmy Garoppolo missed another game, Josh McDaniels decided not to have Aidan O'Connell start and went with the 38-year-old Brian freaking Hoyer instead. When Josh McDaniels was asked why he did not go with the rookie quarterback, he laid into the guy.
Is there ever any consideration just to kind of see what you have in Aidan and continue?
Yeah, but this isn't the preseason anymore. You know what I mean?
Later on in the season, Josh McDaniels would be fired. Jimmy Garoppolo would be benched. Main reason why he was benched is because he had injury guarantees, and the Raiders did not want to risk having to pay this guy if he got hurt in a dead season. So Aidan O'Connell would get his chance yet again, and he did well in the first game against the New York Giants, interim head coach Antonio Pierce's first appearance on primetime TV. So Aidan O'Connell did well that night, but everyone kind of did because the curse of Josh McDaniels was finally gone. So Antonio Pierce's first night is one of Aidan O'Connell's best games. The next best game by Aidan O'Connell was against the LA Chargers on primetime. And this was a game that was a complete nightmare for Brandon Staley, who was fired immediately after the game and could have been fired at halftime.
They should make history. They should fire him at halftime. They should just, hey, we got an Uber X carpool outside and we'll send you on your way.
Brandon Staley looked like a dead man walking the whole night. Multiple turnovers really helped set the Raiders up nicely to score quite easily. So it's difficult to give Aidan O'Connell credit for those 4 touchdowns when the head coach Brandon Staley of the Chargers was immediately fired after the game. Clearly the Chargers had already given up. Throughout the season, we would see some lows for Aidan O'Connell. Aidan O'Connell would throw 3 interceptions against the Miami Dolphins, and the offense would fail to score a single point after the first half. Another bad game by Aidan O'Connell came against the Minnesota Vikings when the Raiders lost 0-3.
That may have sealed it for the Vikings. He's flipping for a 3-0 win.
It had become clear at this point that the offensive struggles did not magically go away just because Josh McDaniels was fired. Keep in mind, Aidan O'Connell was not given any favors. Because of the coaching changes, the Raiders were left with Bo Hardegree as the play caller, a guy who had never called plays at the NFL level before. What's insane is that the worst game in Aidan O'Connell's career came in a victory against the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. The Raiders defense was absolutely on fire on Christmas morning, but Aidan O'Connell and the Raiders offense were only able to muster 62 passing yards with a QB rating of 50.3, and the craziest stat was that Aidan O'Connell did not throw a completed pass for 3 full quarters, and the Raiders still somehow managed to win that freaking game. But like we said, he was a rookie quarterback. He was thrown into the fire after a coaching change with an inexperienced play call. And overall, when you look at Aidan O'Connell's season, you'll find plenty of games with 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. For instance, in the final 2 games of the season against the Denver Broncos and the Indianapolis Colts. O'Connell ended up finishing 3rd among rookie QBs. Honestly, he was the only rookie quarterback besides Bryce Young and CJ Stroud who actually played a substantial amount of games, ending with 12 touchdowns, 7 picks, and 2,218 passing yards. So this gave some Raiders fans some hope when you're comparing both of these quarterbacks, Gardner Minshew, the veteran, and the young Aidan O'Connell. I use young loosely because Aidan O'Connell will be 26 this year, while Gardner Minshew will be 28. It's really just a 2-year difference, but one guy's played more football. But when comparing both of these guys' recent season, Minshew did not have as many great weapons like Davante Adams in Indianapolis last year, but he did have better offensive coaching, rolling with Shane Steichen, who he's familiar with. Meanwhile, Aidan O'Connell had all the weapons, Josh Jacobs, Davante Adams, Jacoby Myers, but he was dealing with some coaching changes and an inexperienced offensive play caller. However, overall, going back to college and in the pros, both of these quarterbacks have been criticized for their lack of a deep ball. The main knock against both of these guys, and you see it on numerous scouting reports, is that they don't air it out deep. And actually, statistically, they both only air it out deep 20 yards plus about 9 to 10% of the time. So I don't know if we're going to see too many deep sideline passes to Davante Adams this season. But Gardner Minshew, even if he does not have many rushing yards, has a history of making plays with his legs, extending plays, and finding somebody open on the run. Like we mentioned earlier, the age gap is not that different, but Minshew has 5 years of NFL experience compared to O'Connell going on his 2nd year. Minshew literally has more tape available of him making more proven, consistent NFL throws. But the big question is, will either of these guys, whoever starts, be good enough to help the Raiders compete in the AFC West, let alone make a wild card? And is this what the first-year head coach Antonio Pierce signed up for? This is a rough quarterback situation. Like we mentioned at the top of the video, he did not want a band-aid at the quarterback position, but it looks like this is what he has to work with. There were reports that Mark Davis, when he was looking for his new GM, wanted somebody who knew how to trade up to grab a quarterback, and so he hired the former Chargers general manager Tom Telesco. And what did Tom Telesco do? Not trade up for a quarterback. Definitely seemed like he was interested in the Raiders grabbing their franchise guy, but right now he's left with a journeyman quarterback and a young rookie quarterback whose draft comp is Brian Hoyer. However, the Raiders have tons of weapons on the offensive side of the football. Not only do they have Davante Adams, Jacoby Myers, but they recently drafted Brock Bowers, a generational talent at the tight end position, with their 1st-round pick. So there will not be many excuses for whoever starts at the quarterback position. The only excuse they may have is that their offensive coordinator is the former Bears coordinator Luke Getsy, who was fired last season. We are being told there will be a camp battle. Both of these guys will have an equal opportunity to be the Raiders quarterback in 2024. But Gardner Minshew was signed to a 2-year contract, $15 million guaranteed, $25 million total. It does look like it's Minshew Mania's job to lose, but Aidan O'Connell still has 3 years left on his rookie deal, and if Minshew shits the bed enough, it is definitely possible that we see Aidan O'Connell suiting up as QB1. Do the Raiders have a shot this year with such an unproven quarterback room? You're looking at the Super Bowl quarterbacks over the past 5 years: Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Matthew Stafford, Joe Burrow, Tom Brady, Mahomes, Jimmy Garoppolo, Mahomes, Jared Goff, Tom Brady. Can one of these QBs be the next Jimmy Garoppolo? Maybe the Raiders should have kept Jimmy Garoppolo. Would he be the best quarterback in the room today? But all I hope is that Mark Davis, the owner, judges Antonio Pierce accordingly. It would be sad to see Antonio Pierce be one and done and instantly fired when he didn't supply the guy with a franchise quarterback. These days in the NFL, defense very rarely wins championships. And ultimately, it's a quarterback-driven league, and the Raiders, unfortunately, have the Super Bowl champions in their division with Patrick Mahomes. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Could Aidan O'Connell or Gardner Minshew shock the world, or will the Raiders look to Shadir Sanders in 2025? I want to hear from you.
Gardner's the answer. I haven't shaved it in a month. It's not anything real, but let's go.
My name is Wi-Fi Willie. Peace out, and I hope you have a good one.